Hello everyone, my name is Michael Brooks. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Sullivan County Legislature. I'm here today, I want to thank everybody for joining us, number one, but I'm here today in part because our chairman recently had a medical procedure, a very serious medical procedure, and he is limiting his contact to people in light of COVID-19. We live in a free society, and we're thankful to live in a free society, to pursue our happiness. But that freedom comes with a responsibility, a personal responsibility, to make the right decisions, to use good judgment in helping us get past the COVID-19 threat. Many people, most of you, are doing the right thing, and you've heard it a lot. The social distancing, washing your hands, etc. So we the people need to continue to do the right thing. And so we can get past this COVID-19 challenge sooner rather than later. This virus wants to do two things. It wants to live and propagate through us. Our decisions will help determine whether or not we do get through this sooner rather than later. Now we've been County Manager Josh Potosek and our Public Health Director Nancy McGraw. And together we will answer questions that people have submitted. And the hope is, when this conference is done, that we will help you in understanding where we're at as a county and moving forward in taking on this challenge of COVID-19. So I'm going to start with our first question. This, Nancy, what's the latest on cases in Sullivan County, both confirmed and quarantined?
Good afternoon. We have been very busy with our staff, as you can imagine, and with our healthcare providers in the community, getting results of confirmed cases and quickly trying to isolate and quarantine individuals to limit further transmission in the community. As of today, or this morning, and this is quickly changing as you can imagine, we're up to 59 confirmed cases. And of the number of people we have in mandatory quarantine is about 161. So those are directly exposed individuals as a result of somebody who tested positive. So we're making sure that people understand, and I think they do for the most part, understand that how important it is to quickly isolate themselves. We have 135 in precautionary quarantine, which is something that is a little bit less concerning because those folks are not currently ill, but there's a possibility they could have been exposed. So what we're really concerned about are the number of people who are testing positive and the number of people who are on mandatory quarantine. So we're working very hard. We've doubled our staff in order to address those issues. And I think that's what you wanted.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. And by the way, as we go through these questions with our folks that we have here today, they will jump in because a lot of times the nature of the question can be answered by a few folks. So our next question is, how are you preparing for lack of hospital beds in Sullivan County?
So we've been in constant contact with hospital officials through the Emergency Operations Center for daily updates. Currently, our bed capacity in Sullivan County with our main hospital, Catskill Regional Medical Center, and the Grover Herman Division in Callicoon, there's a combination of 168 beds. So that's total throughout the whole facility, and not all of those beds are available for sick individuals that may test positive for COVID-19 and may need further treatment on the inpatient side. We are planning and have been planning for quite some time actually for options to extend increased capacity for beds should they become available, and there's a number of conversations and discussions that are going on in terms of setting up additional facilities should that become necessary. That planning is already underway.
All right, thank you, Nancy. Our next question, and probably we can get some input from everybody here actually. How are you controlling the flow of people seeking refuge in the county? Can you ban people What about camps and resorts? If not, how do you prepare? Josh, you want to take that first?
Sure. So, this New York State, through the executive order of the governor, has pretty much prohibited local governments from issuing their own executive orders. So, they've kind of put in place bans of having groups of more than one person at a time in group settings. So, there's a lot of issues, daily issues that the executive orders, the governor's doing through executive order. So we've lost a lot of local control on doing some of those things, but we all have worked with our partners, summer residents, other visitors that have come up, working with them to ensure that they understand what we're asking of them and what we're asking of our citizens today, that social distancing, don't go out unless you're an essential worker or going to a grocery store or a doctor. So we're putting a lot of things in place that way. I think Nancy's and the EOC's been working on some proactive messaging to get out to the community and our summer residents and tourism industry on how we expect them to act, as similar to how we'd expect our citizens to act.
Michael, would you?
Sure. Right here.
Yes, we've been asked those same questions about stopping people at the border of Sullivan County. We do not have the authority. The governor has not given an order. We have reached out through some of our communication lines to let people know that if they are coming from an area that's highly infected, or they have traveled to an area that is highly infected, that they follow the county health department, Nancy McGraw's orders for quarantine. Quarantine yourself appropriately. If you start to show signs, follow the instructions. We've talked about getting some written instructions that could be handed out. We've also talked about some robocalling through different layers that we might be able to use to get this information out. Up until now, we're seeing just full cooperation. We're not seeing a problem. If someone out there in the public sees a camp opening up or large gatherings of people, call your local law enforcement. We will investigate it and we will handle it appropriately. So if you're seeing something we're not, I've been going around to Walmart, ShopRite, I'm not seeing large groups of people. I'm seeing minimal activity, and it does seem like everyone is complying. The summer residents have come up. They're going up to their residences that they own and pay taxes on, and there is no way to restrict that. But they do appear to be staying to themselves and not traveling around and not overwhelming our shopping or the hospital at this time.
Thank you. Our next question is, when will schools reopen, or other businesses such as hair salons, etc.? Josh?
So obviously schools are a major driver of our economy. Employ a lot of people, have a lot of children in the school districts, and having a wife as a teacher, but also having 2 kids at home, I firsthand know the imposition closing school districts can have on a family or businesses. So deciding to close schools a few weeks ago in conjunction with the superintendents was probably one of the toughest decisions I've had to make as county manager, knowing the ramifications it would have on our residents and our kids. So I've been in daily contact with Bob DeFore, our school superintendent, on a myriad of issues dealing with school districts, anything from childcare to food insecurity to busing. I've elevated these questions up to the governor's office, just because at some point there's going to have to be some direction on when they're going to open, or if there's going to be an extension of the existing closure. It has the potential to impact the state, bus drivers, food workers, anyone working in the school having to do with state aid at the state level. So it's first and foremost on my agenda to kind of get a clear answer to that, just so we know and can plan. Our teachers, our parents, our child care providers can plan into the future, knowing what they're going to need to do next week on April 1st. So it's we don't have an answer. The governor fielded a question today in his press conference specifically about that, and said they're looking at it and hope to have an answer soon. So as soon as we hear, obviously the school districts will be putting messaging out to all the families and teachers, but we're waiting for the state to give us a definitive answer on that.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Our next question kind of was already answered. It was, can you ban gatherings? And I think between Josh and Nancy and Mike, they addressed that. I'll just reiterate once again, we live in a free country. We're able to we have a lot of freedoms, but there's responsibility in those freedoms. So we obviously call on people to do the right thing. Don't gather in large numbers, And because your decision, it's your decision. It's on you. And please keep that in mind as we go forward. Our next question.
I would jump on that.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Just to piggyback off that and reemphasize that we are getting nothing but cooperation from the community overall. Everybody seems to understand the seriousness of the nature of this illness. But if you see something, let's not panic, everybody staying calm, call us. Call your local law enforcement. If you think there's a group of people getting together inappropriately, call your local law enforcement and we will investigate and we will handle it. Don't try to take matters into your own hands. Just make that phone call and we will respond.
Okay, next. Orange County is giving no interest loans to businesses. What are we planning? Joshua?
Yeah, so we have actually had a meeting today with DOC, working with our economic development partners, our chamber, our business association partnership, working on an information questionnaire to send to our businesses actually at the end of today, just asking what their needs are, whether it's unemployment help or if they're running out of cash, because we're getting a lot of aid and from both the federal and state government at some point. So what our role as a county government looks to be is to try to kind of match all those funding sources with the needs of our businesses. So that's obviously preventing illness and the health of our residents is our first priority, but this is obviously a big second priority to make sure we have a vibrant economy going forward. And that's going to be our role to kind of match the funding sources with the needs of our businesses going forward.
Okay, thank you. Last question I have. What measures is the legislature looking at to help the tourism industry get back into the market ASAP? Well, I'll refer to Josh in a minute, but obviously the legislature looks at the tourism industry as a very important part of the Sullivan County landscape, if you will. It's a little early right now to see how long this is going to take to come out on the other side of this COVID-19 challenge, but certainly we will do what we can to help. There is some data being collected currently, and we will continue to collect data. Josh kind of alluded to it already, to potentially help the tourism industry. Josh, you want to?
Yeah, I mean, specifically with the county, we have some revolving loan funds that we're looking through our planning department to kind of repurpose, to kind of do something similar to what Orange County and some of our neighbors are doing. Obviously, we'll be reaching out to our IDA to see if they have some available funding that we can help deploy as low interest loans or bridge loans. That's all evolving, and literally, I think this questionnaire that we send out today will inform us on what the real demand is, but we're open to any opportunities or funding sources that we can help our businesses. Obviously, tourism is, if not the biggest, one of the biggest industries in the county, so we need to help support that industry as much as we can as a county government.
Okay, that's the questions we have, but a few things. Nancy's going to close out the meeting with sharing a few numbers with us. But I just want to, on behalf of the legislature, Alan Sorensen, Iris Steingart, Joy Perella, George Conklin, Nadja Reich, Nick Salamone, and our chairman, we wish you a speedy recovery. We thank the folks that work for the county and the residents in the county. It's amazing to see. I'm at the EOC, Sullivan County's Emergency Operations Center. It's amazing to see people working together to help as best we can to get through this as quickly as we can. It's truly inspiring, and the legislature thanks all those involved. Now we'll turn it over to Nancy. She'll close out this meeting. She's going to share some numbers with us.
Thank you. I want to make sure that people know about the resources that are available to them. They've been shared publicly through our social media, through the county social media, public health social media page, the websites, press releases. But it's really important that you understand what supports in the community are available to you in response to this outbreak and this pandemic. So something that came up new today was something that was pushed out by the New York State Health Department through the Office of Mental Health. An emotional support information line. People have signed up in the hundreds in terms of licensed professionals and volunteers to be able to help people anybody who's experiencing anxiety or stress or has questions and is worried about how this is impacting them personally, their family members, or just, generally needs support. And it's free. So that number is 1-844-863-9314. And we'll be sharing that on our website as well. So that is available to every resident. Also, we want to remind people that we have set up a call center to take the overflow of calls coming through Sullivan County Public Health and to route them to the appropriate person as quickly as possible, so that if we're getting calls that need to go to a nurse to handle a positive case or a potential exposure, they get there quicker. The other calls are being routed to our call center, which is being staffed by other county employees. We really appreciate the countywide support from county employees. That call center number, you just call our main number. It'll flip over to the call center after hours. It's 845-292-5910. And we also have the Emergency Community Assistance Center, which was set up last week and is active now. And it's helping people in the community, connecting them to resources, helping people get medication, food. People are delivering food. If you want to volunteer, you can call and find out how you might be able to volunteer in some capacity. They're coordinating that. So the Emergency Community Assistance Center, which we call ECAC, is 807-0925. And all of this information is on our website and our social media pages as well. And finally, the COVID hotline for New York State for the general public with questions is 1-888-364-3065. And we have all this information on our Sullivan County Public Health Services webpage under coronavirus. And I just want to reinforce to everybody that we will get through this together. There's a lot of support. There's a lot of wonderful things happening out there in terms of communities helping each other, coming together to help their neighbors, and really getting factual information out there about how this virus is transmitted and how it is not. Please access legitimate websites and don't share information that may not be true, because it just increases the anxiety of other people. If you have a question, you're not sure something is true or not about how the virus is spread, please call that COVID hotline number at the State Health Department. Check the cdc.gov/coronavirus or health.ny.us, I think, or .gov. .gov/coronavirus. State Health Department and CDC websites are your best source of scientific information. So we appreciate that. You'll help your neighbors, your family, your friends, your coworkers to help reduce some of that misinformation that may be out there. And practice hand washing, social distancing if you have to go out, and isolate at home until we get through this. And thank you for your cooperation.
I'd just like to close in saying, when I was naming my fellow legislators, I believe I forgot Louis Alvarez. Sorry, Louis. But I want to thank Mike, Josh, and Nancy for participating. We hope this has helped the folks of Sullivan County. We'll be doing more of these. So thank you. Have a good afternoon. Bye for now.